So these are our thoughts on Astalon Tears of the Earth. Now that we finished the game, I mean, we got the basic ending, right? We didn't go all the way for 100%.
Right. We got the bad ending.
We want to leave that to you because we've enjoyed this game, and I would at least very much recommend it if you're a fan of Metroidvanias or classic style games. I think it's a strong hitter, man. I really enjoyed this game a lot. A lot of what it did, I dug. Yeah.
I would give it at least 1 thumbs up out of 2.
Okay.
If you're a fan of the genre, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, it's probably something that you want to check out from a design standpoint and from a fun standpoint. So what we're gonna do here on this final thoughts video, we're gonna go over the good, the bad, the terrible, and the great. So we're gonna go over the good stuff first. I'll go first. I'll say the story. I don't usually care about stories in games, but I actually found myself to be intrigued by the story of this game.
Interesting.
It has kind of the cute, dark vibe going on overall for the whole game, right? The characters are cute, but the overall story is pretty dark. I mean, one of the main characters sells it. Oh, he does it pretty early, so we'll reveal that he sells his soul early on in the game in order to help himself and others to accomplish their goals. And I found the story to be intriguing. I don't want to spoil too much, but from a guy who normally mostly just cares about the game design and the gameplay, I found the story to be intriguing. I don't know, do you want to go next?
I mean, I actually thought, just to rebound off that point, I actually didn't think about the story at all. I didn't think it was, I mean, the only interesting thing about it to me is you know, like you said, the fact that Algus, the wizard, owes Epimetheus his soul, and that's fine, but that's not what a story is made of. That's just like a story beat. So I didn't think of the story in a particularly interesting way, but I never really do. I'm not really that kind of person. I usually am just about gameplay. So that's like my own personal failing. That's nothing the game did wrong, I think. Should I go on on something?
Yeah,
I'm good. So, good or great?
Good.
Okay.
We're just doing good first.
Good. So good is map design, right? I really like the map design in most ways. It has a lot of La Mulana feelings to it.
Yeah.
So La Mulana is a masterpiece of gaming in so many ways. But particularly in map design. It's probably the most intricately and well thought out, well designed map, next to Dark Souls. And this game has some really cool stuff going on with the map. It does a lot of rooms that are... the map is misleading, because you look at the map, you know, and you say, okay, I need to go down and right 2 rooms. So you go down, and then you go right 1 room, and you realize, oh, the path that I'm supposed to go to get to the next room is actually blocked off, and I have to go down, left, and I have to do like a U shape to get back to. So the rooms are sort of like divided into often 2 sections.
Yeah, a lot of the rooms are divided into 2 or even more sections, right?
Yeah.
That you have to traverse them in different ways. So they're kind of they're not necessarily intersections between each other, but they're ways to move through the map in different ways. For instance, if you're at if you're at the top portion of if you're at the top room and you move down into the room below it, you might only be able to go to the room to the left, right, from the top exit. But if you come from the bottom, you might be able to move out the left and right exits of that middle room, for instance. Yeah. So it has a lot of rooms that don't necessarily function exactly as they look on the map, but it kind of makes it more interesting. And also, I really like that the map, every single room in the game is only 1 screen.
Yeah.
And they really cram a lot of design into each screen. There's not a lot of wasted design space. There's not a lot of empty space in the game, which you could say there's not enough room to breathe. There's not enough room to take in the architecture and the scenery. Which
I disagree.
I tend to like that in a game like Symphony of the Night. There are some rooms that they're just empty, and you're just taking in the atmosphere and enjoying the you're taking a breather. But this game doesn't have so much of that. But it's a different design philosophy, and I'm not going to argue that it's bad necessarily at all.
No, this game establishes that kind of pace. Like there is no breathing room because I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need it. You know.
Yeah, it's more like La Mulana. They try to put as much design into as small of a space as possible, and I appreciate that kind of design as well. I think it's just a different kind of design than something like, say, Symphony of the Night. That's more of an atmospheric design. So the story, the control's solid. I'm just gonna say that. There's not really anything bad to say about that.
Are we still on good? We're still on good,
we're still on good.
Yeah, the controls were fine. I loved some of the items are interesting. The stuff that we didn't get in our playthrough, but I got on my own playthrough. There are a lot of secret areas in the game. There's tons and tons of things that you'll see a door for, but you don't get the key for it until much later. And there's, I mean, I'm looking at the item screen right now. There are 25 key items in the game that affect.
Yeah, we definitely didn't get all of them.
Yeah, not even close. So
there's a lot of interesting stuff to explore, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
side areas, side quests, and you can really, if you're of the mind to do it, then you can spend a lot of time in this game hunting down the items, and it's pretty rewarding to find them.
So that was actually bleeding a little bit into my grate, so I'll hold off on that for now. But yeah, good. What else was good? I mean, like the general combat was good. That also sort of leads into the not so great. But I thought the enemy balance was good overall. I didn't feel like when I was taking hits, it was the game's fault. For the most part, I mean, a lot of the enemies have really, really simple AI, so it's really hard to blame anybody else but yourself at that point.
For the most part, yeah. I think the only time where there was a couple of times I can think of one that actually happened near the end of our playthrough where we fell out of a room into the next room and just landed on an enemy and took damage.
Right.
And that can happen sometimes. That's a difficult thing to design around in a Metroidvania, especially when each room is only one screen.
Yeah.
So you have to design it so that when the player enters the room from any place that they could possibly enter the room, that they're not going to take a cheap shot. That's really hard to do in a Metroidvania. And it's hard to do when you're doing multi-screen rooms, and when you're doing a single screen rooms across the board, across the entire game, it's pretty difficult to avoid, but there were times where that happened, so that kind of bleeds into bad as well. I found the characters to be endearing. I like the designs of the characters a lot. Yeah.
I mean, that's not good or bad to me. That's just whatever. Yeah, I don't take a lot of stock in that.
I liked the little vignettes, the little meals that they had in the little, what do you call them, cutscenes.
Yeah, that's basically the only cutscene, the story that you get in the game is in those cutscenes.
Yeah.
That's nice. You know, the sprites are really
that's
cool.
where a lot of it comes in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool secret areas, which we kind of touched on with the items.
Having played this game in my own time, there is an incredible amount of secret stuff in this game, including a developer area, which is so secret that it's not even on the map. There is.
Yeah, I like that. I like when there's an area that doesn't even show up on the main map.
Yeah, like more than probably about half of this game is optional, and that is an incredible incentive, for people who are completionists, because this is a great completionist game. This is the kind of game, as we just said, based on the map design, that you could, it's much more complex than the map may make it seem. So it's good for replay, I would say.
Yeah, I think where this differs from a lot of, especially modern Metroidvanias, like maybe Guacamelee, where the game is in the Metroidvania style. It has a big map, but are essentially pushing you through it in a specific order. You need to get this item to get to this area, and you use the keys. You have to use them in a certain order, and it's almost completely linear.
Right.
Except that you could still call it a Metroidvania because it is one continuous world and one continuous map, but it almost could be a linear game where you just beat the level and go to the next level. But with this actually feels like something that you're exploring, and something that has the fact that there's areas that you don't need to explore to beat the game makes it feel that much more enticing to actually explore those areas, because not everybody's going to be doing that. You know that you're one of the only players that's really fully exploring the map. And we should also say that Ed has played the game on his own besides what we did on our LP. On our LP, we did a pretty straightforward, straight through playthrough of the game where we did a little bit of side stuff, but for the most part, we just went straight for the end and we got the bad ending. But Ed has had experience playing the game, and he's gotten all 25 key items in the game.
I managed to get the true ending, which unlocks a couple of interesting bonus modes as well, which I didn't realize were in the game. But to avoid spoilers, we won't talk about this here. But suffice it to say, there's a lot of content in the game, much more than I was expecting, as you might guess from that secrets screen. So what else did you have written there under, let's see. So that was that was the good stuff.
That's pretty much it. There's a lot, there's tons to explore. We pretty much got into my other point, which was, just that the world, it does feel more open than most Metroidvanias.
And that kind of bleeds into bad at some point, because I remembered how much backtrack. Do you remember how much backtracking we did, Joe? Near the beginning of the first 2 episodes, there was so much backtracking in this game.
Let's just go to bad right now.
It's
a delicate.
Okay, it's a delicate balance. It is incredibly delicate when you're playing Metroidvania. You need to make the player backtrack, but you have to make it fun. You have to make it interesting. Otherwise, it just feels like backtracking. I always go to Cave Story as my example of this, because backtracking is a wholly unique experience compared to forward tracking, if you will. But because this game is so non-linear, we spent a lot of time going through the same rooms because we weren't exactly sure where to go. So that's more of a subjective thing than it is necessarily good or bad. You know, that might be up your alley, because Hollow Knight is a lot like that. It's very much like that.
Yeah, Hollow Knight doesn't have enough teleporters, so you wind up retraversing the same environment over and over again.
Yeah, even more than this game, I would say, to an extent. So I'm fine with the amount that it took. I mean, my full playthrough took 12 hours, which is fine. For a game this length, I mean, if you just look at it, the game's map is massive. So I feel like it was still worth it. I never felt like there was any padding, you know? Surely I was wasting my time here and there, but it was my own fault because I could have taken better notes. I could have remembered better, you know? So, I mean, there were kind of like, I guess you would say, like, niggles like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the game doesn't necessarily hold your hand. It doesn't hold your hand as much as modern games do. It
Yeah,
probably does
yeah.
a little more than, like, an old NES game, for instance, which I think is a good thing. But it's I'd say it's a fair balance between
Because
the old style of game design
yeah.
and the new style of game design where they hold your hand way too much.
I mean, it's clearly
versus-
trying to channel the NES style, you know?
Right.
Like Shovel Knight, only Metroidvania.
Right.
So it does a really, really good
Yeah,
job
and it even has
of
the
bridging
the Shovel Knight candle bubble things that you can break.
yeah. Well, which leads you to another point, which I think you mentioned. We didn't know what those did for a long time in this game.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out if they did anything beyond just giving you those health orbs. That's all they do is give you those health orbs.
Yeah.
But because they're shaped exactly like the Shovel Knight things, you think that they're going to be a checkpoint, and a lot of them are right next to rooms where there's a campfire.
Right.
And we had a comment in our in one of the videos from, I think it was from Adam the Game Boy, right? And he was saying, what if they actually allow you to start the game from that save point if you don't break those bubbles? And we found out, no, that's not the case.
No.
That all they do is give you health, which if a lot of people have played Shovel Knight, especially indie game fans, just about everybody's played Shovel Knight if you're into indie games at all, and so that's that's kind of pushed into your brain is that's what that item does, what those candles with the bubble around it does.
Joe, didn't we play Shovel Knight once on the channel?
We did. We made a wild game episode.
Can we LP that? It is so LP worthy.
We could.
We probably should.
We could. I've played it on my own off the channel. I beat the game. I beat the
so did
regular
I.
game, and I've played as one of the side characters, the one with the scythe.
The
Death
Witch
Knight.
Doctor? Oh, okay.
I started the Witch Doctor one too. I think I got maybe halfway through that one. But yeah, it's a great game. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if we've both beaten it, then we don't necessarily have to do it on the channel.
Well,
but I just thought-
leave it in the comments if you want us to play through Shovel Knight. If you want us to do a Shovel Knight LP on the channel,
that must be the most LP game in the world.
for 8 years after it's come out. I don't know. I don't know if that should be at the top of our list, but
No.
If we get I'm gonna say 9 comments asking for a Shovel Knight LP, we'll do it.
I'm gonna make 9
that would be
alts.
pretty significant.
I'm going to make 9 alt accounts.
Okay, Ed's gonna make 9 alt accounts, and we're gonna play Shovel Knight. So
Yeah.
please look forward to it.
So what were we just talking? We were just talking about.
We're still on bad. We're on bad. So teleporters.
Oh, Jesus.
There's not enough teleporters.
There aren't. Yeah. There. I mean, you saw it in the last episode where we had to go sometimes through 15 rooms to get to where we died. And at a certain point, it does become just time wasteful.
Yeah.
You know?
That's something that I more and more the older I get, the less time I have left in my life, the more I hate when people waste my time. So I don't like when a game wastes my time. I don't like repeating the same sections over and over again without any meaning to it. I want to be getting something out of it. I want to be either enjoying the experience or learning something while I'm playing the game. And there's one particular room that we both found to be particularly annoying. Actually, no, we're going to go with that in the terrible.
Yeah. Okay. That's
But
fair.
we'll get right back to that real soon.
Should we touch on the bad then? Or we're still
On bad, yeah. So
Okay.
the character changing. We can switch to the characters using the LNR triggers or the LNR buttons,
But you have to collect the item to do.
you have to collect the item to be able to do that, which you get fairly early in the game. But you can actually get more than the 3 basic characters in the game, and it's already difficult enough to switch between 3 characters. And when you're trying to switch between 4 characters or more, there's 5. There are 5 characters total that you can unlock in the game.
It's a disaster.
And switching between all of them. Yeah, it would probably be better. There's 2 solutions you could probably do it. You could do it Mega Man style, where you pause the game, pick the character that you want, and come back in, right? Essentially like picking the weapon that you want in Mega Man. Or the other solution would be to pause the action. Bring up like a wheel, right? Like a Mass Effect thing.
Right,
where you bring
right.
up a wheel for your abilities, or in this case, for character switching. You bring up a wheel, you pick the character you want, and then you come back as the character. Maybe you could give it a cooldown of 5 seconds or something, just to make sure that the player's not spamming it in order to just slow the game down and play it as if it was an RTS game rather than an action game. But
Yeah.
I think that those would be two potential solutions for the difficulty of switching characters. Because there's 5 characters, it's difficult to make a solution where you just make one button for each character, because that might be too many buttons. There might not be enough
Absolutely.
buttons on the controller to switch between 5 characters,
Well, yeah,
having one button for each character.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest pitfalls of Dark Souls, believe it or not, is when you assign items to your quick slot, which is the down on the D-pad. You can assign up to 5 items to that quick slot, but you cycle through them in one direction.
Yeah.
So if you skip your Estus Flask, you got to cycle through 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it can be annoying.
And you skip it a second time by accident because you're mashing it so fast because you really, really need to heal. You just do that over and over and over. But yeah, having to cycle through more than 2 things with a single button is absolute. It's game design anathema,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah, I don't
You know what
like
mean?
it. I don't even like 3 where it rotates between 3 items.
No,
Even though it's only one press away, your brain doesn't have time to
Yeah.
process that. So I just don't really like it.
In an ideal world, yeah, you need either one button to one ability or just toggle between
toggle,
2 different
yeah.
things, you know? So, yeah, there is that. But we didn't really get to see any of that in our playthrough. But on my own time, I found very quickly that there were sections where I wanted to change between 3 different characters, and you can only switch between them in a predetermined order, which quickly becomes tough to deal with in the spur of the moment.
So the save points don't heal in the game. I would kind of like them to, but I understand that the game is designed around them not being able to
Yeah.
heal the player.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I think that is the conceit of the game, is that you're supposed to die so that you can get better.
Yeah, you're supposed to die again and again. I mean, that's a part of the story and a part of the design of the game. That's overall a big part of the game. So yeah, that's more of a minor one on the bad list, and I think that's the end of my bad. So,
Okay, I only have one more thing on my bad list, which is Arius. He was the weakest link. Goodbye, you are the weakest link. I didn't think he was that cool of a character. He's close range only. He has that spell repelling beam, which is okay. But I found that the archer, Cooley, and Algus were both infinitely more useful in their unique abilities.
August was so cool.
August
really is the star of the game.
Yeah.
We really can't get around that. I don't know if he's specifically designed to be the best character in the gameplay wise, but I would say he's kind of the main character in the story as well.
Yeah, he is kind of the main character. Yeah.
So August is so cool. I really can't get over him.
But it kind of feels like Arius didn't really have quite a niche carved out for himself, and I don't know whether there was more that could have been done.
I tend to agree. Normally I like the warrior characters, the tank characters in the game, but if he had, I don't know, I don't think he took less damage than other characters. I feel like maybe if he took less damage than other characters,
I thought he did though.
Maybe he does.
So
maybe that's some kind of an advantage. There's something there.
He has an ability that lets you do that when you're below 25% health. You take 50% reduced damage or something like that. But yeah, it's something you have to unlock eventually. And I just think his general playstyle is not as interesting as the other 2 characters. You know.
So the terrible.
I mean, I did struggle to think of things that were truly terrible. There's nothing about this game that is absolutely, truly terrible.
You got to pick one thing, though.
Okay, but I did pick one thing, and that was boss number 2, which was the worm-looking thing.
Oh,
with the telegraphs.
Yeah.
Specifically, the telegraphs in that boss were terrible because to this day I still don't know.
Yeah, neither of us could figure it out, and Ed had played it multiple times before we even did it in our LP. What episode was that? I don't know. It might have been around
Probably 3, maybe?
It might be the 3rd episode, yeah.
If anybody has any idea what the point of the telegraphs were and the number of beeps during each telegraph, are you just supposed to memorize the number of beeps equals this kind of attack?
Yeah, I forgot about that boss. That boss was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
That was the worst boss. Not even probably. That was the worst boss in the game. Overall, the boss designs in the game were pretty cool.
I think I said it before. That was the low point in the game. You know, because the first half of that boss is easy. It's just a head. You know, but then that giant worm snake thing jumps out, and you wait maybe like 10 seconds. You know, while you wait for the telegraph to start up. You avoid the attack, and you get maybe 2 hits in. You wait another 10 to 15 seconds. You wait for their attack to start up, and you get another 2 hits in. It just slows.
And sometimes you don't even get any hits in. There's some
Mm-hmm.
pattern that he does where you can't even possibly get a hit in.
Yeah. So that was just the strangest pacing, which I wasn't expecting.
And there was one specific room that I found to be terrible. We wound up traversing through again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it's the room where there's these turrets on the side and there's these spikes and it's kind of loops. It's like a sidewinder.
Yeah, it's like an S-shaped room.
Yeah, kind of an S-shaped room where there's spikes that come out of the ground and there's turrets that are constantly shooting at you. And it's just really annoying and it takes a long time to get through the room. You have to do it over and over again. So that's in our terrible.
Because you have to have Arias in that room. Otherwise you can't... otherwise you just take damage from the turrets, which is really
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah, you would have to pick Arias. So if you don't even have the item where you can switch through characters, you have to bring Arias into
you
that.
just
If
take
you don't
damage.
have him, you're just going to take damage. Yeah, because Arias can deflect the bullets from the turrets. So if you don't have it, yeah, you're just going to be eating damage the entire way through, and you have to traverse that room so many times. So that room was pretty annoying. Another thing on the terrible list, item descriptions. There needs to be descriptions of the items in that you're trying to buy in the store. Every time you die, you get to upgrade your characters, and a lot of the items, a lot of the power-ups don't have descriptions on them that tell you what they do. You just have to buy it and find out what it does. So I think it would be useful just to have a short one-sentence description of what the item that you're actually buying does before you buy it.
Yeah. I mean, there may be a reason. I struggle to think of one why you would not include the item description. You know, it's like you going to an actual store and the guy says, "All right, I got popcorn, jewels, and pencils. What do you want?" And he's, like, which one of these do I need? Like, how would I make an informed choice? And he says, "I got popcorn, pencils. What was the other thing? I don't know.
Jewels.
Jewels. It's impossible. Like, they all have their uses." But you just don't know. You just have no idea. And it's very silly to think that in real life you would be able to make an informed choice. You certainly couldn't in a video game. So it's goofy. It's really goofy. And somebody could make the argument that that's part of the game design. I don't think that's... I don't know. I would... I don't know. I think you're right about that. I think that at least one line description is necessary. Because there's nothing in the game that you buy that is absolutely like a secret. Like ooh, a super secret unlockable character that you buy, nothing. It's all just, it's fairly mundane stuff. Like unlocks the map. Refreshes all the health restoring globes, like stuff like that. It's all fairly mundane. So why not
tell
just
us
explain?
what it is.
Yeah, that's all.
All right, great. What is great about the game? I'm just going to go first.
Yeah.
The graphics.
Oh, okay.
It looks fucking great.
Sure, yeah.
Really well drawn. Matt Cap's very good pixel artist, and also he hired a heavy hitter, Ryusuke Mita, to do some of the designs for the game, which is great too. And Ryusuke Mita, as we learned, is a heavy hitter in the manga and anime industry. So there you go. I mean, I could add to the descriptions of the graphics and the artwork and the art style of the game. I think it's great. I love it. It's right up my alley, and it's well executed. There's really almost no complaints about the artwork at all, and everything reads well in the game, gameplay wise, and that's about it. The graphics, great. That's the greatest thing that I have to say about the game.
All right. I mean, to me, and this is kind of a cop out. To me, the greatest thing about the game is the game itself. The game is way above and beyond the sum of its parts. In a lot of ways. The music, incredible. There are some tracks that we didn't even hear.
We didn't even mention the music. I meant to mention that in my good. Yes.
Yep.
The music is excellent in the game.
And in fact, I would say the music is great, but we haven't heard any of those tracks yet. There are some tracks that I would think about them, like when I was sleeping or something, I would get one of them in my head and think, man, I wonder if Matt Cap listened to Wily Mega Man Stage 2.
I'm sure he has.
There are so many tracks that remind me of that, just in terms of like tone and intensity.
Yeah, it's definitely the heavy metal NES chiptune style.
Yeah.
If that's a style of music, that would describe the style of music of this game.
It's fantastic.
Which is right up my alley as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just the way that the map is put together. I know the map was under the good category, but the way it is sort of woven together. In the end, just the way it feels, like just the emergent game feel, which is not something that you can really predict or plan for that well. But so I think, just in terms of like I guess this is the way to say that Matt Cap is a skilled developer, because in the end he developed something that feels as if it was woven from a single piece of cloth. You know what I mean? Like it feels cohesive the map design, the enemy design. It all feels completely competent in the nicest way. So I think the game overall is great. I loved knowing that there was a gigantic map to explore and that we only explored half of it. I loved pulling up the map and seeing, we only have 40% of the rooms uncovered. The secrets and just the sheer amount of things to unlock that you saw early on and didn't get to mess with. And there's so many locked doors.
One thing that feels great in a Metroidvania is looking at the map and knowing that there are 6 different places you can go. Mm-hmm. I love that. And also not being lost and knowing how to get to all of those places. So if you've got... It really makes the world feel open. So that's something I really like about Metroidvanias, and that's what we're aiming for in our upcoming Metroidvania title. So I think he really executed that well in this.
Yeah.
Or they really executed it well in this.
And the secrets are fantastic as well. Like, remember the first thing in the game that we did was we hit those 6 glowing pairs of eyes or whatever, and that led to I forget if it was optional or not actually, what the reward was for that. But there are many secrets just like that, very obscure things. A lot of
things that aren't necessary to clear the game. If it was necessary to clear the game, if it was necessary to get through it, we would think it was terrible. Mm-hmm. But because it's all optional, it's stuff that you can discover on your own. It just feels great to discover it, and it feels great to see all the secrets in the game.
Like, there are a lot of rooms that, were you not using a walkthrough, you would never find. And I know that because I used a walkthrough, I used a map, and I mean it's a work of art. Like, there are a lot of rooms that have ladders hidden behind columns that you don't see. You just have to guess. There is an item that tells you whether or not a room has a secret exit, which can sort of help. But there are so many things. Again, it reminds me of Dark Souls in that way. Like, there are so many just like nuanced things that one player is never going to find, but 1,000 players will find. So it's a different experience for everyone, and it has surprises even after you think you've seen everything. Which is, to me, the mark of a great game. So I don't know. I think I've sung its praises enough. It's fantastic. Yeah.
So GameSoup gives it the thumbs up. Mm-hmm. Ed gives it the super thumbs up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Joe gives it a very strong thumbs up. And overall, if you like Metroidvanias, obviously definitely check it out. If you like Metroidvanias, if you're just a fan of general indie games, maybe check it out. We liked it a lot. You can watch our full LP of it if you haven't on this channel. It's called GameSoup. So thanks to Matt Cap for working on the game. Thanks to everybody else who worked on the game. John LePage, who programmed the game. Oh. And thank you to Ed for recording this review and this LP with us. Mm-hmm. And thank you for watching. We like you.